How do you say faith knows no bounds? While eradicating malaria, inspiring hearts and minds, partnering for change, and reaching the forgotten. Faith Knows No Bounds is our brand. Created not to tell people to support us, but why to support us. As we work to transform lives more boldly than ever, Faith Knows No Bounds is how we live our brand. A rallying cry, a prayer, the voice of employees, volunteers, partners, donors. Over 100 million of the most vulnerable people on Earth, and you. It's time to speak as one, while speaking for millions. The CRS Brand Book is our guide. A lens, a frame, a megaphone, even a translator. When faith knows no bounds, our work knows no bounds. Potential knows no bounds. And there is no limit to how far we can go to change the world.
Catholic Relief Services answers the call of our faith to go as one human family across borders, natural and man-made. Often the first to reach the farthest corners of the globe, we serve over 130 million of the world's most vulnerable people. Alongside our brothers and sisters, we lift up the dignity of every single person. Based on need, not creed, together we combat poverty, hunger, disease, social injustice, violence, saving lives, alleviating suffering, and realizing the God-given potential of every human being. Not because they're Catholic, but because we are. We want to be a catalyst for positive change in the world. With partners at every level of government, public sector and private, we share values and accomplish more than any organization can alone. Seeing eye to eye, working shoulder to shoulder, our global footprint helps us recognize the potential of every human being. But changing the world means breaking away from business as usual, testing new approaches to humanitarian and development outcomes, creating a movement of millions of Catholics on every continent for greater impact than ever before. Bold yet humble, we work until all people know peace and justice. We stand ready to thrive and lead. Are you ready to go with us? To lead with us? Together, we can take the world further than ever before. There is no limit.
Those who are just catching up with the conversation, nandito po tayo sa ating program which is entitled Protect Rights, Save Lives, Promoting Safe and Dignified Actions in DRR, organized by Catholic Relief Services, happening live today here in Sequoia Hotel, Quezon City. Hello to all of you. Okay ba yung lunch? Ayan. Nakapag-unat-unat na tayo, di na nangangala yung mga likod natin. So ngayon, upo muna tayo kasi to start the program, we will be having a quick film showing. So manonood muna tayo para pampakalma muna after kumain. This short clip you are about to watch in some way gives a quick recap of the preparing for the Enhanced Protection and Disasters Project through the eyes of and lenses of our community stakeholders, local government officials, and the diocesan partners. Without further ado, I wish to present to everyone the Preparing for the Enhanced Protection and Disasters Project.
The Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. Our country is highly vulnerable to seismic and volcanic risks, along with strong typhoons and floods every year. As different cities and barangays in the Philippines are at risk, it is not uncommon to hear stories of our fellow Filipinos being helpless when disaster strikes. Aside from losing properties and livelihood, these communities are also at risk of experiencing The Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. Our country is highly vulnerable to seismic and volcanic risks, along with strong typhoons and floods every year. As different cities and barangays in the Philippines are at risk, it is not uncommon to hear stories of our fellow Filipinos being helpless when disaster strikes. Aside from losing properties and livelihood, these communities are also at risk of experiencing health concerns and abuse during times of disaster.
Sobra pag bumagyo, talagang lubog kami sa baha. Ang madalas wala silang natutulugan kasi baha nga. Yung dignidad nila nawawala kasi hindi nila alam kung saan sila matutulog. Lalo na yung mga bata, yung mga buntis na kababaihan, yung mga senior citizens namin.
Tumatak sa isip ko talaga ng pagtira ko dito sa Tower Bill 6 ay yung lindol. Pag sinabi kasing pabahay na row house ay hindi siya talagang matibay. Anytime pwedeng gumuho, anytime pwedeng bumagsak yung mga pader.
Pag dinala natin sa evacuation niya, akala natin okay na. Pero hindi natin alam, meron pa palang, dapat pa tayong bantayan. Doon pumapasok yung mga exploitation, mga sexual harassment.
To address these and give aid to areas in need of protection from disasters, Catholic Relief Services launched the PrepD project to capacitate communities to integrate safe and dignified approaches and be mindful of how disaster responses are extended.
Preparing for Enhanced Protection and Disasters. It's an 18-month project headed by Catholic Relief Services and funded by USAID PHA with the help, of course, ng ating dalawang diocesan partners, Caritas Pasig and CSA Malolos. Habang nagbibigay tayo ng ayuda or tulong sa mga taong nasakuna, kailangan din natin tingnan how we are giving or doing the relief operations.
PrepD engaged disaster risk reduction and local humanitarian actors in mainstreaming protection to DRR interventions through a series of orientations, workshops, and community consultations. The project aims to reduce and manage protection risks and enhance accountability to disaster-affected people and communities.
Meron tayong tinatawag na Protection Mainstreaming Framework. Ito yung tuntungan ng buong project para lang natin mapakita paano ba natin gagawin ang Safe and Dignified program. Meron tayong 8 core components. And base dun sa 8 core components na yon, nalalaman natin sa communities kung ano nga ba yung mga pangangailangan nila at yung mga panganib na kanilang nararanasan sa tuwing merong mga sakuna or disasters.
Nakikita po namin na mas importance po yung pag-implement nito dahil nga po ang barangay is hindi lang po dapat malay sa pagiging responders po nila, dapat malay din po sila sa mga protection issues and concern.
First time din po namin ma-encounter si protection mainstreaming. So, isa po si PrepD sa malaking part din na kung saan ituturo po namin kung anong po yung kahalagahan ng protection po nila in relation din po kung ano po yung karapatan nila bilang isang tao.
The community members also appreciate the improvements and changes that they have experienced and things they have learned from the PrepD project.
Natutuwa ako sa barangay namin kasi ginawa nila yung natutunan din nila sa CRS. Dahil tabing ilog kami, minsan hindi kami nadadala ng tulong. May code of conduct pala na dapat alam din namin.
Before dumating yung Project Prep D, hindi kami aware kung ano yung rights namin. Nagkaroon kami ng referral pathway na dati hindi namin alam kung saan kami tatakbo. Pero ngayon aware na kami. Sobrang grateful kami for them for bringing this knowledge to the community.
Pag magbibigay po tayo ng mga ayuda, dapat iniintindi rin po natin yung safety po nila. Dahil po nasa disaster po tayo, dapat po may safe, accessible, and dignified po.
Ligtas ang may alam. Alam na namin ngayon kung ano ang una namin gagawin.
Pag nadagdagan nga po yung kaalaman mo, alam mo na kung ano yung gagawin mo. Mas magiging ligtas ka po, mas maililigtas mo yung sarili mo, yung pamilya mo, at syempre masashare mo na rin po yun sa community.
The success of the PrepD project only proves that it is best that more communities get access to a safe and dignified approach to preparing and protecting them against disasters. We at CRS Philippines, along with the people we worked with on the project, hope that this is just the start of our journey in keeping Filipino communities safe from disasters.
Isa din po kami sana sa maging stepping stone na itong simula po na ginawa naming proyekto ay magpatuloy pa po sa ibang barangay.
Naniniwala ako sa pagtutulungan ng CRS at PrepD, magagawa namin i-educate yung aming community.
Yung lahat ng natutunan namin, talagang ibababa namin sa community yan. As gratitude namin sa kanilang pagtulong sa amin, huwag kayong magsawa. Bibigyan tayo ng lakas ni Lord para tumulong din sa iba.
Ang project ay nakapag-develop nga ng toolkit, and hopefully yung toolkit na ito ang magiging gabay din ng ating government, pati mga agencies, paano pa natin ibababa ang safe and dignified programming sa ating komunidad para panatilihing ligtas, accessible, and marangal yung ating tulong sa ating mga communities. We're hoping na marami pa tayong makapartner ng mga agencies and government offices dahil naniniwala tayo sa whole of government and whole of society approach para mas lumawak pa yung ating adhikain for safe and dignified programming.
This time, everyone has a clearer sense of what the PrepD project is, its experience so far with the toolkit testing, and the feedback from the community themselves regarding its value and contribution it could bring to make safer and more dignified actions in DRR. Maraming salamat po sa Cherry Red Films for producing this very short clip na very informative. To Cha Roque and the rest of her production, maraming salamat. So kanina pa natin pinag-uusapan yung toolkit, di ba? I know I keep on teasing about the toolkit, and since we have gained enough knowledge about safe and dignified programming, its context, the needs among the DRR actors and stakeholders, I think it's about time now we go straight to the chase and introduce to everyone the Safe and Dignified Programming Toolkit. And to give us a walkthrough on the Safe and Dignified Programming Toolkit, I would like to call in the CRS Regional Technical Advisor for Safe and Dignified Programming. At the same time, our very own Global PrepD Coordinator, Ma'am Alberta Sandini.
Magandang hapon. A warm and hearty afternoon to all. It's my inaugural visit to the vibrant city of Manila, and this occasion bringing with honor as I have the pleasure to introduce the PrepD Toolkit, a toolkit that has been designed to bolster readiness for protection in disaster settings. Let me just begin by saying something that has humanitarians as DRR actors since a while. We have recognized the crucial importance of anticipating disasters proactively and collectively. We have learned that it's our shared responsibility to integrate protection principle and humanitarian ethics into disaster response strategies. Yet, despite this understanding and learning, we find ourselves encountering somehow challenges in effectively ensuring safety, dignity, and accountability of people into our daily operation and responses, particularly in engaging with the most vulnerable and marginalized people. This toolkit, the PrEP toolkit, we think that takes an important stride in addressing some of these challenges together. But let's go one step at a time, and before we delve into the toolkit, a little bit of background information about where the toolkit situates itself in reference to the global discourse and initiatives related to the integration of protection into DRR and the synergies, we can call them like that, with climate fragility. Can I have slide 1, please? Thanks. First, the toolkit sits, and we learn about this. It is framed in the Preparedness for Enhanced for Protection in Disaster Settings, the PrEP program that is funded by the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance program. It is a multi-country program that is implemented in Sierra Leone, Uganda, and notably here in the Philippines. And the program runs until March 2024. Therefore, primarily, the toolkit, this toolbox, has been designed within this overall BHA goal to strengthen local capacities of responders to integrate protection into disaster risk efforts in these 3 countries mainly. It proposes a compilation of diverse learning materials, resources, and how-to guidelines for those working in the field of DRR and humanitarian response, and to empower them, being better equipped to navigate the somehow complex challenges posed by disaster-prone context, and prioritize voices, protection needs, and capacities of the most vulnerable people in the way DRR responses are designed. We will talk more about the toolkit and its nature in a little bit, but let me just say that the toolkit complements other existing resources, and it has never been meant to substitute what already exists or already has been adopted in the field of protection and DRR. So far, the toolkit has been used, piloted for the latest 18 months in the 3 country programs for BHA. Philippines has played a key role in this, with the support of CRS Global Team, the peer reference group, that is an inter-organization body that contributed to the quality control of the toolkit, and Clear Global, who has been working on the terminology and definitions. This comprehensive and collaborative work aimed to design a product that would be contextually appropriate, culturally sensitive, and served as a practical reference for supporting responders' efforts in making DRR more inclusive, safe, and accountable. With this scope and focus, the toolkit shows a clear alignment with several noteworthy interagency initiatives at the global level. A couple of examples: the Global Protection Cluster 2021 Thematic Forum on Protection and Climate Change that recognizes the importance of supporting capabilities of local actors. We have been talking a lot about local actors here, and the challenges to work along protection, climate fragility, and disasters, a topic of great interest for DRR actors, for us all. The current Global Protection Cluster strategic framework that once again underscores the significance of collaborative efforts and to carefully anticipate protection risk for the most vulnerable people. And from the realm of DRR expertise, the DG ECO Disaster Preparedness Guidance note that places protection at the center of all the preparedness efforts. Worth to mention that all these commitments are framed in the 2013 Centrality of Protection and the 2016 YASC protection policy. Can I have slide 2, please? Thanks. Finally, the toolkit has been developed via comprehensive assessment that looks at the state of protection in disaster preparedness and response activities inwardly for the 3 BHA countries, Philippines, Sierra Leone, and Uganda, and we look at what was happening out there at the global level. And basically, we carried out targeted consultations, doing primary data collection at the national and global level, and you heard very much of the work and the exercise carried out at the Philippine level. We cross-check these primary data with secondary data review at the national and global level to see how the toolkit could best fit with the existing material and possibly better respond to already identified challenges and gaps by other resources. And most importantly then, we triangulated all these data with this in-country community-led risk analysis. We carried out 11 in total, of which 5 in the Philippines. And this exercise, as we already heard from Marel, help us to collect valuable insights, best practices, investigate concrete and context-specific barriers to accessing DRR responses. The key concept here is that this comprehensive process allowed CRS to gain a possible better understanding of the challenges, people risk, opportunities, and areas of improvement for integrating protection in DRR settings. And the findings from these need assessments have served as a solid foundation for the subsequent design of the toolkit. Can I move to slide 3, please? But let's have a look now at the PrEP toolkit structure together. As you can observe, the toolkit is divided into 5 distinct parts or sections, each serving specific objectives. It could seem a rather static structure, but in fact it's not, and let me explain more about it. For this first toolkit development phase, we have chosen a folder-like structure, as you can see, to visually separate each section, ensuring that, for example, hands-out for each part would be easily accessible and shareable throughout printing or emailing. We carefully designed this structure with the intention to require minimal technical skills to navigate into the tool, making possible more accessible to our main users. However, this structure is open and welcome revisions and changes in the near future. Taking you through the key principles governing the toolkit, as you can see at the right of the PowerPoint. The logic behind the toolkit is that the various tools in the toolkit are designed to complement each other and support each other, possibly enabling a comprehensive approach to disaster preparedness and response. Different tools may have specific functions that complement one another. For example, while some tools address training and capacity building efforts, others provide how-to guidance on how to implement these learning and principles into the design of accountable mechanism. They cross-reference each other and they integrate each other. The tools are interconnected by cross-referencing relevant section, resources, hands-out, or methodology. And these possible help user navigate through different tools and to find the most appropriate guidance for specific context or need and possibly avoid duplication. And how to use the tools? Well, it's really based on a set of comprehensive criteria such as, first of all, the context analysis, where we work, the needs, the priority, the risk of people that we have analyzed, the available resources in terms of financial resources, but also human resources that we have available to, for example, cascade learning at the community level, and looking at what the others do in terms of DRR and protection, so coordination. Finally, it is very much clear, I think, that these tools may not follow a strict sequential order. Can I have a slide 4? Voila. But let's explore now the toolkit together and see which tools you can find in each part. You have all the 5 parts plus introduction in blue at the left inside of the PowerPoint, and all the list of the tools in black at the right inside. Briefly, the introduction provides you with a summary of all the tools, including tips of effective usage and underlining guiding principles that cut across all the toolkit. Part 1, preparing to enhance protection in disasters. Introduce with the tool 1.1 with awareness sessions and expand throughout with the trainings with the tool 1.2 on foundational concepts which are crucial to safe and dignified programming, such as safety, access, dignity, and engagement with people. All these concepts you will discover that as you open the toolkit. All these concepts are interwoven throughout all the tools in the toolkit. And program staff, also especially the Philippine colleagues, reported during the pilot process, for example, that it has been vital to translate these concepts and terms into local language and to discuss them with communities and key stakeholders like you all, as Marel mentioned before, using respective local languages and whenever possible, complement with our visual aid. This is the issue really of having a common language and giving the same meaning to key definitions and terms that somehow can be complex to understand. I just wanted to focus your attention on a tool that you have in part 1, the 1.3, with a long title, the Community-Led Disaster Risk Management Plus Protection Facilitation Guide. And this is a tool that has been circulating among the DRR CRS colleagues for quite a long time. But for the purpose of the PREP toolkit, we included a stronger protection dimension, which would lead to the main output of developing action plans at the community level to reduce risk, but looking really beyond the typical socioeconomic risk that DRR actor would look, like the socioeconomic ones, like loss of assets or loss of livelihoods. But intentionally, we really push for the protection risk brought about by people. And so we looked, so the action plan that you will be able to design with this tool are really looking and taking in consideration the multifaceted dimension of risk, and they prioritize really the voice and the needs and capacity of people. In particular, the CLDMR Plus represents a very interesting entry point to initiate protection-related conversation with communities and engage with them directly. And it is a platform for collaborative works because risk for people in disaster settings are really like a lot and comprehensive, and you will need a lot of diverse actors and action to address this risk. And plus, this tool allows for diverse groups in the community to be involved with and lead the disaster risk management planning process. In part 4, if you are interested to read more, Philippine clearly showcase a case example of successful usage of community-led initiative and plans. Part 2, tools for support a local shock responsive system, is a collection of how-to guidelines that provides our main audience with actionable steps to access preferred and existing communication systems evaluate the effectiveness of a feedback mechanism, and implement necessary changes to always looking at enhancing inclusivity and accountability in disaster-prone areas. It further provides with Tool 2.3 and Tool 2.4 with some guidelines on setting up and adapting referral pathway and code of conducts that would be shock responsive throughout the disaster cycle. Part 2, in particularly, I'm going back to Tool 2.1, underscore the importance of starting any accountability process by leveraging the expertise, resources, and accountability mechanism already in place to build on what already exists in the community. Adapting existing mechanism, we know, possibly make it easier for communities to adjust to, being sustainable and being more acceptable as well. Moving to part 3, that proposes diverse learning materials to raise awareness and increase learning about rights and entitlements for all community members. These tools take up the DRR actors' responsibilities to provide information to people in disaster-prone areas. And it concerns not only the way the response is designed or should be designed, but most importantly, the behavior community must expect from responders. And additionally, always in part 3, there is a how-to guidance that is provided to support ownership of this continuous learning process at the community level and contributing to its sustainability. I'm referring to the tools that focus on the development of communication plan and the identification of community-level focal point who should be leveraging existing practicing and being aligned with national policies and frameworks and not being part of a parallel system. I'm referring to tools 3.2 and 3.3. In this regard, again, Philippines show a very pertinent example with their safeguarding model that you will find in part 4 in the lessons learned, if you want to learn more. Part 4, in fact, this section comprises a compilation of practical insights drawn from real-world experiences gained while implementing the tools across the 3 BHA countries. If interested, Philippines has 3 case scenarios that are focused on the Code of Conduct, rights and entitlements, and the CLDMR+. Part 5, finally, contains the glossary of key terms, terminology that has been used throughout all the toolkit, providing clear definition and using the principle of plain language that has undergone field testing and translation. Throughout this meticulous and collaborative approach, CRS, with Clear Global, ensure the development of a robust, culturally sensitive glossary to possibly better empower users to navigate complex protection and accountability concepts with clarity and allowing them to apply confidently in their DRR work. Can I have the last slide, please? The last consideration I wanted to share with you is as simply as follows. Now that we have reached what we can call a phase 1 of this toolkit development, it will be circulated to create opportunities for feedbacks. There is a lot of interesting materials out there along with ongoing work that can be linked and interconnected to. These resources will undoubtedly serve as venues for the toolkit's evolution based on best practices as we continue to learn together how to integrate protection in the DRR responses. In fact, the toolkit is designed to be adaptable and scalable to different contexts. It is a working process, as we learn already. We hope that you will be interested in further exploration and in supporting the implementation, utilization, and feedback regarding the Toolkit resources. And finally, I kindly invite you on behalf of CRS to continue to be part of this important process and work along DRR and protection actors to foster a possible more inclusive and safeguarding DRR approach for all. Together, let's protect rights and save lives. Salamat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alberta, for that short but very comprehensive walkthrough of the Safe and Dignified Programming Toolkit. I am pretty sure everyone tuned in, particularly those involved in the DRR sector, is already curious about the specific tools and systems they can adopt or mainstream into their work. Of course, at this point, we would need all the support and traction we need to create an enabling environment for safe and dignified programming to flourish within a country, particularly in the aspects of DRR. Fortunately, we already have a few government and development partners who have pledged support. May mga sumusuporta na sa atin ngayon. And we will invite one of them on stage para to give a pledge of support in this project. Let's call on Sir Marco Pielago, DRRM Officer from the Municipality of Pateros.
Maraming salamat po, sir. Mr. Jonas Tetangco, sir, of the CRS of Catholic Relief Services, members and officers of the Caritas Foundation, Pasig, funding agencies such as USAID and other funding agencies present here po this afternoon, international non-government organizations, donors or partner agencies, national government agencies like OCD, nakita ko po kanina, at si Sir Jasper from the DSWD on the regional level, and sa national government agencies din po, as well as our kapwa, kasama po, mga ka-DRRM. When I say ka-DRRM is kasama on the Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Partners who are present here today from the LGUs na nakita po namin kanina, at sa lahat po ng mga barangay officials na nandito, kasama po namin ang aming punong barangay sa munisipyo ng Patero sa Barangay Aguho, si Kapitan Omar Alcantara, at sa lahat po na nandito ngayon, guests, lahat po ng mga nakikinig, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. And in behalf of our municipal mayor, the Honorable Mayor Miguel Fernando Ponce III of the Municipality of Pateros, bigyan ko lang po kayo pala ng konting overview with our municipality. The Municipality of Pateros is situated between Taguig, Pateros, and Makati. Sometimes we are considered or called as a barangay of Taguig, but that is not the case. Pateros is a lone municipality in Metro Manila, the only municipality in Metro Manila left with the 16 cities na nakakapaligid po sa buong Metro Manila. But then, the municipality of Pateros has the lowest in terms of internal revenue allotment, now known as the NTA or the National Tax Allotment or Allowance, and napakaliit po ng aming pondo sa munisipyo ng Pateros. Now, bakit ko po ba ito sinasabi? Napakalaking tulong po sa amin ang mga programang dumadating in terms of disaster risk reduction and management, as well as other plans, programs, and activities that helps our constituents continue with our normal lives. Now, in terms of disaster management or disaster risk reduction and management, on the preparedness level, as well as the prevention and mitigation side, most of the time, we always ask for assistance outside our local government unit. Why? Because of the condition that I have mentioned a while ago. But then, we do not stop on that note because disaster, as we all know it, ang disaster po sa Pilipinas ay talagang normal life na. Para po sa amin, mga DRRM practitioners, as well as national government agencies, tinitingnan po ang disaster management as is a must-be a way of life na dapat po in order to survive in this ever-changing world. Now, ang munisipyo po ng Pateros, maliit ang kita, maliit ang lugar, maliit ang populasyon, but still, we must be never left alone when preparing for disaster. For that reason, that is why we are very thankful sa aming pong munisipyo pag meron pong tumutulong na non-government agencies or donor partner agencies like Caritas, like Catholic Relief Services, at mga iba pa pong mga organizations na tumutulong sa amin noon. And natutuwa po kami and we welcome all the help that we can have na pwede pong magkaroon kami. At salamat nga po, ang Metro Manila ay wala pong probinsya. Di ba po, ang Metro Manila ay National Capital Region. As wala din po sariling governor. So si munisipyo po ng Pateros, humihingi po kami ng tulong sa regional government agencies. That is why si DILG, si DSWD, si OCD, si MMDA, at lahat po ng mga government agencies na pwedeng tumulong sa amin, palagi po kaming humihingi ng tulong. Napakalaking pasasalamat po namin every time na may dumadating po sa aming programs, whether it be DRRM or social programs, na makakatulong po sa aming mga kapwa taga-Pateros. Now, at this moment, I would like to thank the Catholic Relief Services, the Caritas Foundation, the funding agencies, at lahat-lahat po ng tumutulong pa po ng NGOs at INGOs. Bakit? Kasi itong programa po na nakita po namin ngayon, na matagal na pong lumalakad din sa amin po sa bayan ng Pateros at sa iba pa pong mga LGUs, sa dalawang barangay, which are Barangay Aguho at Barangay Santa Ana, ay napakalaking tulong po sa amin. Dahil ito po ay magiging daan for us to improve the way na kami po ay nag-extend ng aming mga ginagawa sa aming communities in terms of disaster risk reduction and management on the all four thematic areas. Di ba po, sabi nga natin lahat, sabi nga na nakararami, we must be prepared at all times. But however, kanina, binanggit nga po, na lahat po ng mga vulnerable groups, pag hindi po natin nag-prepare ngayon, kailan pa? Pag tumama ba ang disaster? Na mas lalo pang magiging problema pagdating ng oras. At with that, maraming salamat po. At in behalf po ng our municipal mayor, again, Honorable Miguel F. Ponce III, and our municipal administrator, Sir Mr. Gerald Herman, kami po ay sumusuporta sa programang ito na sa tingin po namin ay makatutulong hindi lamang po sa Pateros, kundi sa lahat po ng mga benepisyaryo ng programang PrepD. And with that, maraming salamat po at magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Yan, maraming salamat din po, Sir Marco. Mayroon pa po tayong isang mensahe ng pagsuporta from the Office of the Mayor of Pasig. Let's watch this.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Binabati ko po ang ating mga kaibigan mula sa Catholic Relief Services, pati na rin po ang lahat ng mga stakeholders na represented po ngayon. Congratulations to CRS, congratulations to everyone for the launching of this toolkit, the Safe and Dignified Programming Toolkit for DRR actors. The City of Pasig, with your help, remains committed to protecting and upholding the rights of all citizens, especially those who are marginalized. Our persons with disabilities, our senior citizens, those with special needs, especially in times of crisis and calamities. And this toolkit, we believe, will help a lot by offering us a fresh perspective, especially when it comes to enhancing protection and services for these said marginalized groups. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng tulong, salamat sa lahat ng ginagawa ninyo at inaasahan po namin na patuloy ang partnership ng CRS at ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Pasig. Maraming salamat at muli po, congratulations.
End of our program. But before that, I would like to call on the CRS Head of Program, Ms. Chin Nobleza, to deliver some remark and give us a synthesis of safe and dignified programming is here to stay and will continue to influence the CRS programming in years to come. Ms. Chin?
All right, I'm going to give a synthesis, so please prepare to stay 1 more hour for the whole day. Synthesis. No, actually, na-starstruck ako kay Mayor Vico. I've been asking the team if I could join any of their meetings with Mayor Vico, so I could just see him in person, pero no, they didn't give me that luxury yet. Maybe in the future, you know, when we do phase 2 or phase 3 of the PrEP project, I would have a chance to meet him. So, shout out po sa mga taga-Pasig, LGU. Yeah, kidding aside, if I recall last year, close to last year, CRS also organized a huge DRR resilience event where it was a learning platform where we asked several local organizations, international organizations to share their experiences in community-based DRR, especially in the times of COVID. And it was in that event where we surfaced some of the concerns, protection issues, the senior citizens, persons with disabilities. And so we ended that session with a commitment to really share the protection mainstreaming toolkit. And 1 year after that, here we are now. So that just shows how CRS is really committed to pursuing and advancing safe and dignified programming. Tama na. We can now leave. All right. So I would like to leave with 3 things. First off, a thank you for your precious time spent with us. Time is really important to each and every one of us, especially now we're back to normal. We have so many things at the back of our minds, but we are thankful for spending your day with us. It really shows how important this topic is. And I hope that you have learned something, you're willing to share more, and we are open to receive more and to continue on the conversation. So maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Secondly, throughout the conversations, the presentations, there is a huge recognition that safe and dignified programming takes a multifaceted lens and approach. So CRS, our partners, Caritas and Caritas Pasig, CSA Malolos, the local government units who were with us in this journey to develop the toolkits cannot do it alone, definitely, and we would need your help. So finally, this is a call to action, and to echo what Alberto said earlier, that we would like to invite you to join us in this humble offering of testing the toolkit. Should you be interested, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to discuss with you how we can further work with you, your organizations, local government unit, local NGOs, and get your feedback so that as a learning organization, commitment po namin na talagang any toolkit, any approach, any methodology ay akmang-akma para sa atin, para dito sa Pilipinas. So please, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Use the QR code, nandun naman sa QR code, or email us, send us any messages. Just reach out to us and join us in this very important endeavor in promoting and advancing safe and dignified programming. Lastly, before I forget, we are also embarking on a new journey to provide depth to safe and dignified programming. And we are planning some partnerships with our colleague here, CBM Global Disability Inclusion, represented by Sir Herc, the country director, to look at disability inclusive DRR. So, antabayanan po. Baka next year, meron na namang something like this that we can share moving forward. So, I guess I will end there. Maraming salamat and have a pleasant day, everyone.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Miss Chin, for closing the event. And with such inspiring words, I believe we reached the end of the program, but I'm hoping the discussions won't be ending here today. With the past 5 hours, together we have learned a lot and realized a lot about the value of respecting one's human rights and its valuable place in the whole resilience building process. As duty bearers in the realm of DRR, we have to remain accountable to the needs and well-being of our right holders, fellow community partners, and ensure that we protect everyone's right to live free from harm, no matter what. In the end, remember that safe and dignified actions also continue to adjust survivor-centered and resilient future. I am Albert Cruz, your host for today's Toolkit launch. I would like to take this opportunity as well to extend our gratitude to all the staff and crew. Congratulations po, ang galing-galing natin. Natin lahat. Livestream Manila for your awesome support in live streaming this event. Meron po tayong ang ganda-ganda ng editing para po tayong tape. On our social media platforms, kudos as well to our fellow sign language interpreters, Sir Renato Soriano and Sir Junjun Sevilla, to further spread the message of our event to a broader audience. To all the staff and crew working behind the scenes, kilala nyo na kung sino po kayo. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please continue following our CRS Facebook page. Like nyo po, i-share ninyo ang mga nandun kasi makakatulong po ito sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat po and ingat po tayo sa ating pag-uwi. Punta tayo doon para sa photo. Sige. Para po meron po tayong ebidensya. So we have evidence that we are all here. Meron po tayong picture. So yung mga nandun po, forward po tayo. Doon po manggagaling ang camera. So medyo po forward sila dito. Tapos yung mga mahagip doon, pupunta dito. Ayan. So yung mga unang kumain kanina, kayo ulit yung tatayo. Para naman pumunta dito sa gitna. So, habang nagbabasta po tayo para sa ating picture, napakahalaga po ng QR code. Kasi po, dahil nandun yung attendance ninyo, dun nyo din maibibigay yung feedback ninyo sa ating program today. And yung mga gusto nyo suggestions na pwede pang i-improve ng ating toolkit. At dun din makukuha yung certificate. Yung certificate of attendance ninyo, dun din manggagaling sa QR. So, sa mga hindi pa nakakapag-scan ng QR code, please do so. Kasya pa? Pwede po nating magamit tong TV. Takpan na po natin yung TV. So tayo po tayo, compress po tayo papagitna. Yan. Okay na. Di pa kasya. Oo, sige. Pwedeng yung iba, tayo na lang yung iba. Oo. Ayan, di tayo kasya eh. Hindi ganun. Wala na daw uupo. Everybody stand up na. Pwedeng kumaway. Sige. Sige. Kakaway daw po tayo. 1, 2, 3, kaway! Kaway-kaway lang. Yan. Are you ready? Is this a video or a picture? A picture. Big smile! Ebidensya din pala. Thank you so much! Maraming salamat po.
The Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. Our country is highly vulnerable to seismic and volcanic risks, along with strong typhoons and floods every year. As different cities and barangays in the Philippines are at risk, it is not uncommon to hear stories of our fellow Filipinos being helpless when disaster strikes. Aside from losing properties and livelihood, these communities are also at risk of experiencing health concerns and abuse during times of disaster.
Sobra pag bumagyo, talagang lubog kami sa baha. Ang madalas wala silang natutulugan kasi baha nga. Yung dignidad nila nawawala kasi hindi nila alam kung saan sila matutulog. Lalo na yung mga bata, yung mga buntis na kababaihan, yung mga senior citizens namin.
Tumatak sa isip ko talaga ng pagtira ko dito sa Tower Bill 6 ay yung lindol. Pag sinabi kasing pabahay na row house ay hindi siya talagang matibay. Anytime pwedeng gumuho, anytime pwedeng bumagsak yung mga pader.
Pag dinala natin sa evacuation niya, akala natin okay na. Pero hindi natin alam, meron pa palang dapat pa tayong bantayan. Doon pumapasok yung yung mga exploitation, mga sexual harassment.
To address these and give aid to areas in need of protection from disasters, Catholic Relief Services launched the PrepD project to capacitate communities to integrate safe and dignified approaches and be mindful of how disaster responses are extended.
Preparing for enhanced protection in disasters. It's an 18-month project headed by Catholic Relief Services and funded by USAID PHA with the help, of course, ng ating dalawang diocesan partners, Caritas Pasig and CSA Malolos. Habang nagbibigay tayo ng ayuda or tulong sa mga taong nasakunano, kailangan din natin tingnan how we are giving or doing the relief operations.
PrepD engaged disaster risk reduction and local humanitarian actors in mainstreaming protection to DRR interventions through a series of orientations, workshops, and community consultations. The project aims to reduce and manage protection risks and enhance accountability to disaster-affected people and communities.
Meron tayong tinatawag na protection mainstreaming framework. Ito yung tuntungan ng buong project para lang natin mapakita paano ba natin gagawin ang Safe and Dignified program. Meron tayong 8 core components. And base dun sa 8 core components na yon, nalalaman natin sa communities kung ano nga ba yung mga pangangailangan nila at yung mga panganib na kanilang nararanasan sa tuwing merong mga sakuna or disasters.
Nakikita po namin na mas importance po yung pag-implement nito dahil nga po ang barangay is hindi lang po dapat malay sa pagiging responders po nila. Dapat malay din po sila sa mga protection issues and concern.
First time din po namin ma-encounter si protection mainstreaming. So, isa po si PrepD sa malaking part din na kung saan ituturo po namin kung anong po yung kahalagahan ng protection po nila in relation din po kung ano po yung karapatan nila bilang isang tao.
The community members also appreciate the improvements and changes that they have experienced and things they have learned from the PrepD project.
Natutuwa ako sa barangay namin kasi ginawa nila yung natutunan din nila sa CRS. Dahil tabing ilog kami, minsan hindi kami nadadala ng tulong. May code of conduct pala na dapat alam din namin.
Before dumating yung Project PrepD, hindi kami aware kung ano yung rights namin. Nagkaroon kami ng referral pathway na dati di namin alam kung saan kami tatakbo. Pero ngayon aware na kami. Sobrang grateful kami for them for bringing this knowledge to the community.
Pag magbibigay po tayo ng mga ayuda, dapat iniintindi rin po natin yung safety po nila. Dahil po nasa disaster po tayo, dapat po may safe, accessible, and dignified po.
Ligtas ang may alam. Alam na namin ngayon kung ano ang una namin gagawin.
Pag nadagdagan nga po yung kaalaman mo, alam mo na kung ano yung gagawin mo. Mas magiging ligtas ka po, mas maililigtas mo yung sarili mo, yung pamilya mo, at syempre masashare mo na rin po yun sa community.
The success of the PrepD project only proves that it is best that more communities get access to a safe and dignified approach to preparing and protecting them against disasters. We at CRS Philippines, along with the people we worked with on the project, hope that this is just the start of our journey in keeping Filipino communities safe from disasters.
Isa din po kami sana sa maging stepping stone na itong simula po na ginawa naming proyekto ay magpatuloy pa po sa ibang barangay.
Naniniwala ako sa pagtutulungan ng CRS at PrepD, magagawa namin i-educate yung aming community.
Yung lahat ng natutunan namin, talagang ibababa namin sa community yan. As gratitude namin sa kanilang pagtulong sa amin, huwag kayong magsawa. Bibigyan tayo ng lakas ni Lord para tumulong din sa iba.
Ang project ay nakapag-develop nga ng toolkit and hopefully yung toolkit na ito ang magiging gabay din ng ating government, pati mga agencies, paano pa natin ibababa ang safe and dignified programming sa ating komunidad para panatilihing ligtas, accessible, and marangal yung ating tulong sa ating mga communities. We're hoping na marami pa tayong makapartner ng mga agencies and government offices dahil naniniwala tayo sa whole of government and whole of society approach para mas lumawak pa yung ating adhikain for safe and dignified programming.